The old abandoned road, racing in the street. The drag strip, or abandoned road, was nearing its last run for the night. Two competitors were left for this final run. Sandy in his 1970 black Chevrolet Chevelle was in the right lane. Larry in his 1969 Ford Mustang was in the other. The burnout was first. A momentary rear tire spin in order to soften those tires. And both men backed up their cars, revved their engines, and waited. The girl holding the flag waved it. The cars came roaring to life. Down the road they went, side by side, neck and neck, in a dead heat. Just as they crossed the finish line, the start of an old abandoned bridge, Sandy barely nudged the nose of his car in front of the other car. Sandy's record still stood, undefeated. Inside this car, Sandy took off his helmet and wiped the sweat from his brow. He turned the car around and went back to receive his victory. Once he was there, Larry congratulated him. Then, like a dog with the tail between his legs, he went on home. Roars and cheers from the small crowd as Larry pulled his 6-inch frame out of the car. He was immediately kissed by his girl, the one he had stolen from another guy that he had beaten on this exact same strip. Once the kiss ended, he went back to being congratulated by his friends. "Can't no one beat me," Sandy boasted. And general responses from the crowd were, "You the man, Sandy. No one can beat you, man." These were just a few of the responses he heard. Sandy began to feel like he always did after these events. He knew he was the best at what he did, and there was no one who could beat him. He could take down any man to the line, and that man would go home a loser. "You didn't ask me," the voice was like a blast from the past. Everyone turned to see who had said it. Sandy turned, along with his friends and girl, and looked at the mysterious stranger who just interrupted their celebrations and conversations. Leaning against an old, long-forgotten Chevy was a man who looked just like James Dean. He wore pants with the bottoms rolled up, a black leather jacket with a white t-shirt underneath, and black biker boots. Everything very outdated. His hair was styled just like James Dean and rebel without a cause. He smoked a cigarette as he continued to stare off into the warm Florida night. The Everglades were alive around them, and an animalistic urge crawled out from its murky darkness. The night seemed to be full of energy. "You know who you're talking to?" Sandy said. "Had an idea," the mysterious man said as he inhaled on the cigarette, blew out the smoke, and then placed it back into his mouth. "You can't talk to him like that," Sandy's girlfriend said, standing up for him. "You let the little girl speak for you now?" The stranger didn't smile, didn't have any expression. He just stood there calmly with the full moon casting a soft light on his face. This effect gave the stranger a ghostly-like glow. Sandy actually felt a chill as he stood in front of the man. "You think you can take me? Nobody can take me!" Sandy was now in defense. "I can." The coolness and the confidence of that statement made Sandy take a step back. The crowd even gasped when they heard it. "You want some of this?" Sandy pointed at his chest as he said this statement. "Some, probably all. I know I can take you." Nothing but coolness from the stranger. He just stood there and smoked like he wasn't of this earth. "You're on, big boy. You get in your car, I'll get in mine. We'll see who's talking then." Sandy was starting to shake. He couldn't believe it. No one had ever gotten this far under his skin. The stranger tossed out his cigarette, and without saying a word went over and got into his car. Sandy got a kiss from his girl, then did the same. Engines came roaring to life, the burnout, then once again the wait. This time Sandy wasn't feeling the confidence he did before. Something about this stranger made him uneasy, and for the first time he thought he would lose this round. He looked over at the car beside him as the stranger lit up another cigarette. He calmly sat there and smoked as Sandy began to sweat buckets. Sandy turned back just in time to see his girl wave the flag. Both cars were off. Just like the last race, it was neck and neck down the strip. But just as Sandy thought he would win yet again, the stranger bulleted past him in a burst of speed Sandy had never seen. Then the stranger and the car were gone, vanishing into the night. Sandy slammed on his brakes and slid the car to a sideways halt, unsure of what he had just seen. He took off his helmet and turned off the car. He got out to look around. There wasn't a trace of the stranger, only a few tendrils of smoke at the spot where the stranger and the car had disappeared. The roar of the crowd caught the attention of Sandy's ears. They reached him and began to congratulate him like they always did. Sandy, of course, turned on his cocky charm, and through his teeth he lied about the true winner of the race. When asked what did become of the stranger, Sandy just said when he had beaten him, the guy didn't stop. He just drove on down the bridge and kept on going. People still talk about that night, and no one really knows the true story. So many fabrications have been made and told since then, but none of them are the truth. There's only one man who really knows the true tale to the story, but he's not telling. He's still living in the moment and beating everyone on that old, abandoned road.